So we've got nothing required, not lots of planks, maybe one or two, just, you know. Okay, so standing, feet a little bit apart, knees a little bit soft, grow tall through the spine. We're going to start just with some neck release. So just tilting your head straight over to the left or the right side. It doesn't really matter too much, but try and keep your face pointing straight forwards as you just tilt over, relax into the shoulders. So be careful that you don't tense up into the shoulders to get away from the stretch. And then coming back up to the center and going over to the other side. So just tilting gently over. Try and lengthen through your arms. So feel like you're almost getting a little bit of a pull into your arms. And you might feel like you get a bit more of a stretch there. And then coming back to the center, I want you to turn to look over your left shoulder. As far as it feels okay, keeping your shoulders still and your hips still. And staying tall through the spine. So again, with this one, the tendency is to maybe collapse a little bit. And then come back to the center and looking to the other side. Looking as far as you can. Sometimes at the neck, you feel a little bit of like crackling and popping. Just your intervertebral discs. It's quite important to keep them mobilized. And then coming back to the center, looking straight down to your tummy, just tucking the chin in. You can hold it there. And then you can take both of your hands and place them behind your head. Relax your elbows forwards next to your face. And just feel the stretch down the back of the neck, maybe even between the shoulder blades. So you should feel that one going all the way down the back of the neck. So you're just resting your hands there. You're not actually pulling on your neck or on your head. And then you can take the hands away from the back of the head and stand yourself back up nice and tall. Just tilting over one more time to the left side. Take your left hand and place it on the side of your head and just rest your hand there. So again, it's just the weight of your arm that holds your head in that position. No, it just puts a little bit of traction onto the neck. Yeah, relaxing into the shoulder, particularly relaxing into the shoulder that you're turning your head away from. And then you can take the hand off the side of the head and tilting over to the other side. Take the right hand, lower right hand. I've lost all speech, it's Wednesday. And then sagging down into that left shoulder. So just letting that shoulder come away from the ear. Careful that you're not tilting the head up or down. Hold for a few seconds. And then taking the hand away from the side of the head and standing up nice and tall. Take your left arm up to your ear. Soften the knees just a little bit and then lengthen up to the ceiling and tilting over to that right side. Try and keep your weight evenly distributed over your feet. So you might well find that you suddenly feel like you want to tip over to the side. You actually just want to lengthen up and over. So feel an opening on that left hand rib cage and down into the side muscle. And then coming all the way down to the side, change over to the other side. So take the right arm up to the ear, lengthen up to the ceiling, and then tilting to the side, but keep that weight distribution even over the 2 feet. Okay. Lower tummy muscles can stay just a little bit engaged. Nice. Holding it there. And then coming all the way down with that arm. Let's go again to the other side. So take the left arm up. This time, just check in with your shoulders that as you tilt over to the side, you don't roll the shoulders forwards or backwards. And you just got a lengthening into that left hand rib cage. Holding it there, stretching for the ceiling. And then coming all the way down. And the last one on the other side. So take that arm up to the ceiling, stretch up first, and then tilting over. And be careful of the shoulder roll. Watch out for any rotation. Just holding it there. Lengthen down through those left fingertips if you can. So get the shoulder away from the ear on the left side. And then you can bring yourself all the way back up. Oh, nice, easy way to start. Arms out to the front, so just below shoulder height. Again, your knees are a little bit soft. Your feet are hip distance apart. You're going to just open up the left hand out to the side and around behind you, going as far as you can, but see if you can keep your hips pointing straight forwards. So don't let your hips rotate too much. And then bring that arm back to the center and changing over to the other side. So the right arm opens back and out and around. Keep the hips pointing straight forward. Stretch out with those left fingertips. So forwards with the left, out and back with the right, and come forwards back to the center. Changing one more to the other side. Going all the way around. Stretch the right fingertips forwards. Opening up the chest, shoulders away from the ears. And coming forwards, and the last one to the other side, opening up the chest, stretch the left fingertips forwards, try and keep those hips as square to the front as you can. They will shift a little bit. It's more about a chest opener on this one. And then coming back to the center and take the arms down to the sides. We're going to go into a little roll down. So I want you to tuck your chin in, relax your arms heavy in front of you. So imagine there's something pulling your arms out of the sockets as you articulate through the spine. So try and make sure that you're going down each vertebra at a time. Find the bottom of your roll down. Just hold it there for a few seconds. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, you slowly start restacking your spine. So building your spine building blocks one on top of the other, standing up nice and tall. Lengthening up through the spine. And then tucking the chin in again. Coming into a little half a roll down. So stop when your hands come in line with your knees. Place the hands on the front of the knees, rounding your spine. So you want to feel like you've got as much arching into the spine, so upwards arching. So that's that C curve. Resting your hands on the top of the knees. And then you're going to start uncurling from the tailbone. So start letting the bum go backwards just a little bit. Let the tummy come down. Let the chest come forwards. Shoulder blades squeeze just a little bit. And lift the gaze. You're trying to get a connection into that middle back between the shoulder blades. And then tuck the tailbone under, lifting into the tummy, rounding into the spine, lifting between the shoulder blades. Keep the hands at the knees. Tuck your chin in as much as you can, and then start uncurling the tailbone. Let the bum go backwards. Let the tummy come down just a little bit. Let the chest lift. Lift the gaze. Open the collarbones. And then tucking the tailbone in. Lifting the tummy. Lifting the shoulder blades. Not lifting the shoulder blades. Lifting the chest away from the floor. So stretching across the shoulder blades. Tuck your chin in as actively as you can to get as much of a rounded position as you can. Hold it there. And then just release your hands away from your knees. Slowly come down just a little bit more. So doing an extra bit of your roll down. And then place the hands on the front of your shins. If your knees need to be a little bit more bent for this, then that's fine. And then you're going to start uncurling the tailbone. So pushing the bum. Now it's going to feel like it's maybe going upwards a little bit. Tummy comes down, chest lifts as forwards as you can and lift your gaze. So get as much extension as feels okay. And then tucking the tailbone under, lifting into the belly, lift the chest away from the knees, keep the hands on the shins and tuck that chin in. So get as much of a rounded position as you can. And then one more time, uncurl the tailbone. Let the tummy come down, let the chest lift forwards, lift the gaze. And last one, tucking the tailbone under, lifting into the tummy. Tuck that chin in, rounding the spine as much as you can. Hold it there. And then release the hands. And we're slowly going to start restacking the spine. Keep that tummy nice and tight so that it supports you as you rebuild the spine back up, one vertebra on top of the other. And we're going to go straight back into another roll down. So breathe in. As you breathe out, you tuck the chin in, you roll yourself all the way down. Find the bottom of your roll down this time and just notice whether maybe you're able to go a little bit further. Holding that position for just a few seconds. And then hopefully you're at the back of your mat. Otherwise, just maneuver yourself around so that your feet are kind of at the back of your mat. You've got space in front of you. And you're going to walk your hands out 3 big steps, leveling up your hands. Your shoulders are going to come down towards your knees, and you're going to go into your downward dog. So bending the knees as much as you need to get that straight line through the arms and the spine. Your bum is up towards the ceiling, and you're pushing into your hands. Your elbows are as straight as you can get them. and your chest is as down towards your knees as possible. Hold it there just for a few seconds, and then we're going to pedal one heel down towards the floor at a time. So changing sides, shifting your weight over one at a time so that you feel it stretching into that Achilles tendon, pushing the chest down towards the knees as much as you can. And then you're going to level up the heels so that you're pushing both heels down towards the mat. See how much you can straighten those knees. Holding it there just for a few seconds longer. And then walk those hands out. One more little hand step, not too much. And shift the hips down so that you come into your little plank position. Pull the tummy nice and tight. Try and get a straight line from your ear to your shoulder to your hips to your knees to your ankles. The legs are nice and strong. Tummy is tight. And keeping the tummy nice and tight, let's try and lift one foot. See if you can just hover that foot a fraction off the mat. Keep everything else quiet if you can. Put the foot down, change to the other side. Lift the foot, breathe. Tummy's nice and tight, put the foot down and slowly lower those knees down to the mat and sit back just for a few seconds into a little rest position. So take the pressure off the wrists. If you need any padding under the wrists or help or anything like that, then just pop it under the wrists for now. There we go. I'm not going to spend too long here, unfortunately. Pull yourself back up onto all fours. Tuck the toes in underneath and pushing the bum back up to the ceiling, going back into your downward dog. We're going to do 3 of these. So pedal the heels down one at a time, trying to keep that same length through the arms and through the spine. So the straight part is from your hands through your shoulders to the top of your bum. And then center in the heels, push both heels down towards the mat. And shift your weight forwards. Walk your hands forwards as much as you need to find that front support. So your front plank, get the straight line between your ear, your shoulder, your hip, your knee, your ankle, and lift one foot. Keep the hips level if you can. Legs are strong, shoulders are strong. Put the foot down, change to the other side. Shoulders are away from your ears. Put that other foot back down, lower the knees down to the mat, and sit back into your rest position. Just for a couple of breaths in and out. We've got one more cycle to go. It's not too bad. It's when we lift that one foot that it gets quite intense. So you want to try and stay as quiet as you can in the rest of your body. As you're in that plank with the one foot up, keep those armpits engaged. So you want to be squeezing into the armpits so that you keep your shoulders in a strong position. Let's pull ourselves back up onto all fours, tuck the toes, shoot the bum up towards the ceiling, and find that downward dog again if you can. Bend the knees as much as you need to, pushing into your hands, find a straight line from hands to shoulders to hips, and pedaling down one heel at a time. We'll just do about 6 of these or so. And then you can center the heels, push both of the heels down. Get the knees as straight as you can, keep the arms straight, keep the back straight. This is our last one, make it perfect. Bring the hips down, walk the hands forward as much as you need to find that nice front support line. Push up between the shoulder blades, squeeze into the armpits, lift one foot. Nice deep breath. And place the foot down. Let's change to the other side. Keep everything else quiet if you can. Armpits stay squeezed. Down with the foot. Knees come slowly down and sit yourself back into your rest position. Nicely done. Oh, Granny would not have been impressed with that. Somehow she knew, like intuitively, just don't make it to this class. All right, you're going to pull yourself forwards, and now you're going to literally just let your hips come through the gap as you sag down, but with control. So when I say sag, it means kind of lower your hips down below the line between your shoulder and your knee. Move your hands as far forwards and as wide as you need them to be So the top of your thighs are in contact with the mat. Your tummy is engaged, so your pelvis is kind of lifted a little bit away from the mat. It's a fairly classic yoga move. It's called your swan stretch. You're stretching out the front lines of the body. You're also compressing into the lower back a bit. So if you feel that there, that's okay, but you don't want to feel pain. So a little bit of a compression is all right. The lower tummy should be engaged though. So it should be a supported position. And then you're slowly going to start bending your elbows so that you can roll your tummy down onto the mat. So again, you're trying to articulate in like a reverse position through the spine and just relax in that position. Take the arms a little bit out to the sides. Okay, feels weird not having a towel here for our little baby cobras, sadly. Okay, forward forwards on the mat, nose is hovering. Your elbows are at 90 degrees and your armpits are at 90 degrees. Let's squeeze the bum. So you anchor the pelvis, and as you breathe in, we lift the chest just a little bit away from the mat, and that lifts your head. So we're not extending the neck and looking up in front of us. We're keeping your neck fairly long, and I want you to relax the shoulders away from the ears. See if you can find that connection across the lower shoulder blades. So it's kind of right about where bra strap would be. That's where you want to feel that little melting point. Your sternum, the bottom of your sternum is pushing into the mat. And then floating those arms up off the mat if you can. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. The bum is still squeezed. The neck is still relaxed. This is just our little checking in warm up. And then come slowly back down. Forward comes down to the mat. And you can make any adjustments that you need to. Unfortunately, this one is hard to escape, you know. Okay, nice deep breath in. And as you breathe in, you squeeze the bum and you lift the chest. Find that little melting point. And the easiest way to do that, I find, is to feel like I'm pushing that bottom part of my sternum into the mat. And that's what engages those middle back muscles. Lift the arms up, shoulders away from the ears. Now we're going to tighten the legs, squeeze the bum a little bit more and see if you can float those legs off the floor. Hold it there. You're lifting from the bum. Your bum is what's lifting your legs and the top of the hamstrings. And you've still got that little melting point where your sternum is pushing into the mat. You can still breathe. And then come slowly back down and relax. I like to get these over and done with, to be quite honest. They're not my favorite. All right, squeezing the bum again. Let's breathe in. We're going to add on to the next one. So if the previous one felt hard enough, then stick with that. Lifting the chest, lifting the head, lifting the arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Find that little melting point if you can. Squeeze the bum and lifting those legs. Holding it there. We're going to take one arm. So let's start with your right arm out in front of you. So into like a low V Superman kind of thing. And then coming back and change to the other side. Superman with the left arm and come back. Your legs are still hovering. Your bum is still squeezed. Changing sides. Keep going. Keep the breathing relaxed if you can. Keeping your neck as relaxed as you can. We're just going to do one or two more. So whatever balances you out, that you end up, the last one is your left arm going forwards, bringing it back, and then lowering everything slowly back down. And just move the hips side to side a little bit so you can release the lower back that's working. Move your arms up to that wide V. Just a wide V, sort of almost next to your ears, but slightly out to the side. So it just releases the tension into the shoulders. Your forehead is still on the mat. I want you to squeeze the bum and lift the chest just a little bit away from the mat. So now it's more of just a hover. You're not trying to get a full extension. Lifting the chest just a fraction. So you're still pushing the lower sternum into the mat. Your bum is still squeezed. We're going to just lift the opposite arm and leg. So lift the right arm and the left leg, and then place it slowly back down. So it's a gentle sort of modified swimming, and then coming down, changing sides. Try and keep the neck long. Let the glutes do the lifting. So your bum does the lifting, not your lower back. You're still pushing your pelvis into the mat and you're changing sides. Your breath stays relaxed. And we're just going to do 2 or 3 more. So whatever balances you out, the last limbs that you lift is your left arm and your right leg. And you place them gently back down and roll yourself all the way back down to the mat. You can place your hands under your shoulders, let your elbows pop up, and lift yourself all the way up and back into a well-deserved rest position. As you come back, try and round your spine just a little bit before you lower your bum down to your heels. You'll feel you get a really nice little release into the back muscles. And holding it there for just a few seconds. Nice deep breaths in. So opening up the rib cage into the back space. Letting your lungs expand and just stretching out those intercostal muscles. And then you can pull yourself all the way back up, lying yourself down onto your left side. Lying flat on your left side. You're going to put your arm under your head or a pillow or whatever feels comfortable. Your legs are going to be out straight. So just check that your line is good, that you've got your ankles and your knees and your hips and your shoulder and your ear in a straight line. So you're not looking down at your legs. Here we go. Your right hand can be in front of your tummy for now. I want you to engage that left oblique and just lift the top leg up to just above hip height. So just holding it there for a few seconds. And while you're holding it there, just check in with the right connection. So you want your neck to be relaxed. You want your left obliques to be engaged. And you want your bottom leg, so your left leg, to be down on the mat and the other leg just up above hip height. And then we're slowly going to lower that leg down towards your left leg and then lifting it back up. And coming down. So keeping it as perfectly controlled as you can. So this is a really basic one. But the way we do it better every time is that we relax the neck and we keep that left side oblique engaged. Okay, just 3 more. Should be quite nice and easy. It's just really important to be keeping that oblique working. Last one, and then coming slowly down. So that should feel remarkably easy compared to last year, basically. Bend the knees so that you can bring your heels towards your bum, but your heels stay in line with your bum. So you're not bringing your knees forward, you're just hooking the knees and hooking the feet towards the bum. Right, keeping your feet glued together, we're going to just lift that top knee up and then come slowly down. So it's all very back to basics, good old classic stuff here. But keep the left side, that left oblique engaged. So be very aware that your hips don't roll backwards as you lift the knee. It might mean that you do a smaller movement, but doing it more accurately is more important than doing a bigger movement. Going up and down, that's it. Just 3 more. And you should start feeling that glute working a little bit on the top side. Last one, you're going to hold it up there. So pause with your knee up. Keep your hips stable and try and lift that bottom foot up. So you go up into the diamond position and then coming slowly back down. But don't let the knees close. Lift the feet up and then come slowly down. We're only going to do 4 more. But as you do this, check that you're not losing the height in the left oblique. Okay, and slowly down. 3 more, I think. I need mom here to count for us. Last 2. Don't collapse into the waistline. Last one. Here we go. And slowly down, and you can close those knees and give the bum a good bit of a rub if you need to. Keep your bottom leg bent and straighten that top leg out. You're going to lift it up to just above hip height. And then I want you to bring it forwards, touching the floor in front of you, and then in a nice big rainbow arch, going backwards and touch the floor behind you if you can. But you want to keep your hips relatively still. So the hips don't roll backwards, otherwise you're going to flop over. You'll feel it feels quite nice and stable because that bottom knee is bent. And going backwards. Don't forget to breathe. And going back. Not too important how high you get with this movement. It's more important how stable you can keep your hips as you take that leg behind you in particular. And not worrying too much about that left oblique. So it can be engaged as the ideal world, but it's more important that that glute is now working very hard. Almost done. One more forwards and one more back. Last one back. And then bring that leg back to in line with your hip. So you're back into your kind of gluteal position. Straighten your bottom leg out. There we go. And now engaging that left oblique, you're going to squeeze the bottom leg up to the top leg and come slowly down. We're only aiming for 6 of these. And down. This is actually a nasty little hip series. 3, with 3 to go. 4, let's see if we can take the hand away for the last 2. 5, breathe. And 6, pause there, and then slowly lower them both down. Nicely done. And relax, and we can change over to the other side. So you can roll over or you can swing the legs around, whatever floats your boat. Oh, that was a little bit of warmth there in the bum. Okay, so taking those legs out long, find your nice straight line. So check that you're not looking down at your legs. You've got your ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, ear, all of that in a nice straight line. Left hand in front of your tummy, and you're going to lift that top leg up just above hip height. Engage your right oblique side, so you're pulling that waistline away from the mat. Oh, I can see some nice daylight there, Dad, coming straight under the waist. Excellent. And hold it there. Then lowering that leg slowly back down and lifting it back up. And again, with this one, you want to do it as perfectly as possible, because it is not easy, but it's basic. So we've done this a million times, but it's doing it more and more perfectly every time is what we're aiming for. Keeping the neck relaxed, keeping the right oblique connected. We've got 2 to go. Don't forget to breathe. Last one. Lift and slowly coming back down. And you're going to just bend the knees, tuck the heels towards the bum. Remember, don't let the knees come forwards. So you keep the heels in line with the bum. If you need to glance down to check that your heels are in line, then that's fine. But don't let them move forwards. And then keeping your hips nice and stable, you're going to engage that right oblique again, and lifting the knee up. So into your clam, your feet stay together, your knees are bent, lifting the knee and coming back down. But your feet stay down for now. So lift and come down. And again, doing it as perfectly as you can. So check in with that right oblique. Check in that the hips are staying still. They're not rolling back. And you will always feel this one. I can literally say it doesn't matter how strong you get, but the more perfectly you do it, you'll always feel this exercise work. Let's just do 2 more. I may have lost count in my peripheral counting. And on the last one, you're going to pause with the knee up and lifting the feet. And then come slowly down. Oh, I can feel that. Don't let the knees close. Lift the feet and slowly down. Check in with that right oblique. Is it still lifted or is it collapsing? So if you're lifting that right oblique, you'll feel that it works a lot harder in that hip on the top. And lift. Last 2. Breathe. And down. And last one. Nice. And come slowly down and lower those knees down. Give that thumb a little rub if you need to. And straightening out the top leg. Lift the top leg up to just above hip height again. Your bottom knee stays bent. And you're going to just touch the floor in front of you. And then bring it up and over and back. So doing a little rainbow. And just check in with your hips. So remember with this one, that oblique is less important. More important that there's not a huge roll with the hips. So you keep the hips as still as you can, particularly going backwards. That backwards movement that catches you out a little bit. Nice big rainbows if you can. Again, the height is not as important as the hips. So the hips just don't roll backwards and forwards. Don't forget to breathe. Check in with the neck. Is the neck relaxed? That hip should be saying, how's it? Got 1 more forwards and backwards. Okay, relax that neck. Last one back And then you're going to bring that leg back to in line with your shoulder and your hip. Keep it just above hip height. And then straighten the bottom leg out. So you've got two long legs, but they're separated. Keep that engaged right oblique now. So connect into that oblique and lift the bottom leg up to meet the top and come slowly down. Don't lose height with the top leg. Keep it there and lift and squeeze and down. And 3, got 3 to go. If you're feeling like it, then you could lift the top arm up towards the ceiling. Last 2. Oh my gosh. Last 1. Hold, and then slowly lower them back down. And bring that hand slowly back down and give the bum a rub if you need to. Rolling over onto your back. I promise we will stretch it all out just now. Oh, there's some days that I wish I was on mute. I think I'd be moaning and groaning. Anyway, knees are going to be bent, hip distance apart, feet are parallel. Take your arms up to the ceiling and interlace the fingers. You're going to pop the hands behind your head. Elbows are nice and wide and just in your peripheral vision. So they're just floating a little bit off the floor. Tuck your chin in. So you're going to look towards your belly, just a fraction. It's more of a tilt than a lift of the head. You're tilting your chin towards your tummy, and then you're rolling your shoulders up off the mat, and then coming slowly down. Let's just check in with our chest lift a little bit. Let's see how much height you can get in the shoulders. And you're resting your head in your hands. And as you come up, you don't tuck the tailbone. So you keep your lower back in a neutral position. You're not flattening it onto the mat. See if you can keep that little arch in the lower back while just your upper tummy is working to lift the shoulders. It requires quite a lot of spine mobility to be able to keep your lower spine neutral while your upper spine moves. And just 2 more. And last one, lifting up as high as you comfortably can and come slowly back down. Now, keeping your lower spine neutral, you're going to lift one leg to tabletop and then bring the other leg to tabletop. So you'll still feel that little space in the lower back. You haven't tucked your tailbone under, so you haven't flattened your back onto the mat. We're going to do some more chest lifts. So rolling the shoulders up off the mat. See if you can keep that lower back from pressing into the mat. Keep it in its neutral position and then come down. So going at your own speed, using your breath to help you. As you come up, you breathe out. Try and pull the abdominals down towards the mat. So if you look at your tummy, as you roll up, you don't want it to pop up. You want your tummy to pull down and try and flatten into the lift. Which, it may be wishful thinking, but that's the idea. And that's okay too, to kind of have it just as a mental game, pulling the tummy flat. Lifting up. 2 more. Nothing like talking a bit of nonsense to distract us. Last one. Lifting up and slowly back down, and just hug those knees to the chest for a few seconds, just to release that tension in the tummy. Okay, I'm going to pop the hands just under the bum. So, in fact, no, yes, hands just under the bum. So your thumbs are going to be just under your bum. If that's uncomfortable in your hands, then they could be just out to the side. That's okay. By putting your hands under your bum, you're going to feel your lower back flatten onto the mat. So that's fine. So no more neutral spine. Take your legs to tabletop again. And this time you're going to be lifting your knees towards your nose. So you're trying to lift your bum away from your hands. You can push with your arms. You're going to just lift them up and then come slowly down. And then lift. So from tabletop, you lift the feet towards the ceiling to some extent, but your knees stay bent. So you're not doing it with straight legs yet. Lifting the knees. So you're trying to lift that bum away from your hands. You can push with your arms, so you get a little bit of a tricep workout at the same time. And breathing out as you lift. And down. You should be able to connect really deeply into your side tummy muscles and your lower tummy muscles. Got 2 to go. This is kind of the preparation for the rollover. So depending on how the bodies feel, let's just do 1 more. and down, and hug those knees up to your chest just for a few seconds. So if your body's feeling like it might be feasible, then we could try a rollover. But if it feels uncomfortable, then you rather don't do that. The one thing to note with the rollover is that as your legs go backwards over your face, that you don't look side to side. So you always stay looking straight up to the ceiling. So place the hands down by your sides again, so not quite tucked under the bum. You're going to take your legs out to 60 degrees approximately, so about 45, 60 degrees. Legs stay pretty straight. And you're going to lift your legs up and then over into a roll over position. But see how it feels. If it doesn't feel great, then don't do it, please. Holding it there for a few seconds and then slowly lowering back down. If this doesn't feel okay, then you can always just do those little bum lifts. Slowly come down, take the legs back to 60 degrees, and then lifting the bum. Let those legs go up and over. You want your legs to be parallel to the floor if possible. Otherwise, just doing little bum lifts. Slowly lowering the spine back down to the mat. I'm just going to try one more if that feels okay. Pushing with the arms. So the arms and the tummy work together with this one. Remember not to look side to side. Slowly back down. And then bringing the knees up to the chest. It's quite an arm workout and a bit of a flexibility challenge. Not for everyone, and that's okay. But it's sometimes fun to do something a little bit different. Okay, take those arms up to the ceiling again. Interlace. Bring your hands behind, no, hands onto your left knee. Take your legs to tabletop. Okay. You're going to push on, in fact, you don't have to have your hands interlaced. You can have hands one on top of the other or whatever suits you. You're going to push on that left knee, straighten out the right leg, and then bring them back and swap over to the other side. And straightening out the left, push on the right. You're getting a lot of connection now into your lower tummy. Your head is not up though. So sometimes we do this with a chest lift. I'm going to just rest the neck a little bit. Changing to the other side. So keep going. You want to get as much pressure from the arms onto the knee that you're pushing on. And then because you're extending the other leg out, you'll feel the tension going into the lower tummy muscles as you hold the pressure into the hands. And come back. And let's just do 2 more. Just balancing yourself out. So the last one you do, you're pushing on your right knee, straightening out the left, and then bring both those knees back up to your chest. You can maybe rock a little bit side to side if that feels okay in the spine. And then placing one foot down onto the mat and then the other one. You can put your hands down by your sides. Your feet are going to be hip distance apart. There we go. Legs are parallel, hands down next to your hips. We're going to just squeeze the bum and roll the hips up off the mat. So going up into a good old classic pelvic curl. Lift up as high as it feels okay, that you can get the glutes to work and you can get the hamstrings to work. Check with your feet now, as you're in that up position, that you've got the heel and across the ball of your foot, you can triangulate those points. So you've got the inside of the ball of your foot, the outside of the ball of your foot, and your heel is a triangle. You keep your weight distribution equal over that triangle. Squeeze the bum and lift the hips a little bit higher. So coming just outside of your comfort zone, and notice whether that turns your feet out or in. Often it'll turn the feet out slightly. And then rolling slowly back down, placing one vertebra at a time down onto the mat. Push the lower back into the mat and release the pelvis. And let's go again. So rolling the back flat onto the mat. Squeeze the bum. Push into that triangle of your feet. So keep an even weight distribution over the feet. Lifting up with the glutes. Lift a little bit higher through the comfort zone. And then rolling slowly back down. We're going to do quite a few of these. So going at your own time, you can try and focus a little bit on breath maybe. As you breathe in, you prepare yourself to start rolling your pelvis, and breathing out lifts your pelvis. Your bum squeezes, You breathe out all the way up to the top of that pelvic curl. Breathe in as you hold yourself there, and then breathe out as you roll all the way back down. So each time you pause at the bottom or at the top, that's your breath in, and each time you move, you're breathing out. Rolling up, squeeze the bum, always lifting just a little bit extra through the gap, and then rolling back down. Trying to articulate through the spine, so you're moving each vertebra, and you'll always feel that there's a little sticking point, so a point where your spine kind of just planks down in one piece. You want to try and articulate through that. So again, it's a very basic exercise. We know it so well, but it's also about doing it as perfectly as possible, using your glutes to do the movement and hamstrings. Check in with that little triangulation on the feet. I'm going to do just one more. Rolling the hips up, and then you're going to pause at the top. So hold yourself in that bridge position. Squeeze the bum, engage the glutes. Check in with your triangulated foot weight distribution. You're going to push into whatever feels like your nicest cross pattern. So push into one arm and the opposite leg, and then you're going to float the other knee and the other hand up into the sky. Push with the arm, push with the foot, and then place that other foot back down, arm comes down, and change sides. So push into the opposite arm and leg, and float the unnecessary limbs up to the sky. Squeezing the bum on the side that's left behind, change over to the other side again. Keep squeezing the bum. As you put your foot down, squeeze the bum again, and then push into the opposite hand and leg. Float the opposite legs up to the legs and arms, up to the sky. And slowly back down. We've got one more to go. Squeezing the bum. Push with the arms. Allow your opposite arm to help lift and stabilize. Putting the arm and the leg slowly back down. Pause for a second, and then slowly start rolling the spine back down onto the mat, particularly pushing your lower back into the mat as you come down. Releases that tension, and then release the pelvis. You're going to hug one knee up to your chest tightly. Take the other leg down flat onto the mat. And just hold that stretched position. So you want to tuck the knee up as tightly as you can. So really pull it up to your chest. And then the leg that's out long, you want to stretch out through the heel. And you should feel that it gets quite a stretch into the groin on the one side, or maybe on both sides. So the one is like a squish and the other one is a stretch. Just take a nice deep breath. Try and relax the shoulders. And then you're going to bend the leg that's out long and swap them around. So place the foot down to the mat, lift the other knee up tightly to your chest, and then slide the other leg out long onto the mat. You want to feel like you're pulling up as tightly as you can on that knee up to your chest, and then lengthening out through the heel on the other side. Just holding it there for a few seconds. And then you can slowly release that knee. Place both feet onto the mat, so both knees are bent, and move your legs wide to the outside edges of your mat. And just roll the knees side to side. So you're keeping your arms down in a low V, and then let the hips roll over to the other side. Your knees can roll, and your pelvis can kind of swivel, and then rolling over to the other side. So we're doing 2 little hip flexor releases. Quite important. Often we focus so much on the glutes that we forget about the hip flexors. And they're an incredibly important stabilizer and mover of the hip. Changing sides. And then when your knees go down to the right side, you're going to pause there just briefly. Keeping your shoulders down, squeeze that left bum cheek and push the left hip forwards just a little bit more. So as you feel an increased stretch in the front of the left hip. So that's that hip flexor that you're getting into. Should be quite a deep stretch, or intense stretch actually. And then relax that glute squeeze. Bring your knees back to the center and roll them over to the left side. Squeeze the right glute and push the hips forwards. Push that right hip forwards. Feel it stretching the front of the right hip. Just a little bit more. And relax your breath as much as you can, and always just re-squeezing that muscle, because you'll find that it tends to want to relax away from the intensity of the stretch. And then relaxing the glute squeeze, bring those knees back to the center. You can walk your feet a little bit closer together, cross the left ankle onto the right side, just going to our good old classic glute stretch. So lifting up the right knee, hold behind the right thigh, pull that knee up as tightly as you can to the chest. So really get a big release into that left glute, somewhere around the left hip. It might be groin, it might be bum. You never know really where it's going to stretch. Every individual is different. And then pushing out with your left elbow increases that stretch a bit more. And then maybe increasing the space in your lower back. So just pushing the tailbone away from you just a little bit, but don't lose the pull on the right leg. You've got to keep the tension on the right leg as you hold it there. And then you can slowly just release that leg. Don't uncross your legs though. Slide your left thigh all the way over the right thigh. And then you're going to slowly start rolling your hips over to the right side. So just let your hips rotate. Let your knees, both of them, flop down to the right. See if you can keep your shoulders down. And maybe you want to place your right hand on the outside of your left knee or thigh, just to give a little bit of extra traction. And you should feel it's quite an intense spine stretch. So it might be lower back. You might feel a bit of a tension going slightly higher up to like your thoracic and lumbar junction. So kind of the mid-back region. Try and soften into the stretch with your breathing. So as you breathe out, you're just relaxing your knees over to that side. And then to come out of this one, you might want to help with your right hand. Just push your knees up towards the sky with the right hand a little bit, just to help them. Uncross the legs and placing your right ankle onto the left thigh. Lifting the left leg up, hold behind that thigh on the left side. Pull the knee up as tightly as you can towards you. So feel the stretch already on the right side, in the right hip. Then you push out with the right elbow onto the right thigh. Increase that stretch. And then maybe create some space into the lower back. So push that tailbone away from you. Don't lose the pull. So keep pulling on the left leg. Keep it up as tightly as you can. Remember, this one you want to be quite aggressive with, so you can be quite forceful. And then gently just letting go of the back of that left leg. Don't uncross the legs. Slide the right all the way over. And then just keep letting those legs go over to the left side. Let your hips roll over. Shoulders stay down. And your left hand can maybe go onto the outside of your right leg, just to help pull it down towards the mat a little bit more. And you'll probably feel this one again. So lower back, maybe that middle back, maybe across the hips as well. So you often feel this one going into the glutes. And holding it there for just a few seconds. You've got some cramps going on there, Dad. Oh. Nice deep breaths. And then you can help those knees to come back up by pushing with your left hand, rolling them back to the center, and just hug the knees tightly up to your chest. Bring them both up And if you feel like it, you could round yourself all the way into that little ball kind of position. So get yourself into a tight little ball. And then while you're there, hold on to the back of your thighs, give a little kick and sit yourself up. I want you to roll over onto all fours. So you're going to come onto your hands and knees. We just got one more really nice back release. So you're going to be on all fours. So your knees are under your hips, wrists are under your shoulders. Take your left arm out to the side and then just bring it through the gap and thread the needle. So rotate those shoulders around to the right side as much as you can. So you're really trying to thread that left arm through the gap as far as possible. We've done quite a lot of nice hip release and then lower back and mid back release, but this should feel between the shoulder blades. So it's an upper back stretch. And then walk that right hand out above your head if you feel like getting a little bit more of a traction into that stretch. Hold it there, nice deep breaths. And you're trying to expand outwards into the back of your rib cage again. So as if you were in your rest position, you're trying to just expand the ribs. And holding it there. And then you can walk that right hand all the way back to in front of your face. Push yourself up, get a squeeze into the armpit, take your left arm out to the side, and then placing that left hand back down under your shoulder. You're going to take your right arm out to the side, and then rotating the shoulders to the left, thread that needle. Or something feels stuck in there. And just let your shoulders rotate. So you really want to get a shoulder rotation, not just the arm going through the gap. And then lowering your shoulder and your head down towards the mat. If you need to, you can always put padding under your head or under your shoulder. So make yourself comfortable in the rotation if you can. And then moving that left hand up and above your head maybe. Just to get a little increase in the stretch. Nice deep breaths into the lungs, stretching out the rib cage. And then bringing that hand back in front of your face. As you push up, squeeze into the armpit as quickly as you can. Take your right arm out to the side and then place it back down under your shoulder. Just tuck the toes underneath, so tuck the balls of the feet underneath your feet, and then rock yourself back so that you're on your haunches. Here we go. All right, placing your hands flat onto the mat if you can. You're going to push your bum up towards the ceiling, and at some point your hamstrings will be tight enough to stop you there. Just hold that stretch. So fold your chest down towards your knees as much as possible. Feel it stretching down the back lines of the body. Feeling it in the hamstrings. And then you can release that stretch. So bend the knees. And then straighten the knees. Push the bum up towards the ceiling. Push the chest down towards the knees. Deep breaths, and then bend the knees to release the stretch. And just one more time. Push the bum towards the ceiling as much as you can. Fold the chest towards the knees as much as you can. Folding yourself in half. And then you can slowly start straightening the knees a bit more to pull your hands away from the mat. Pull the tummy tight and start restacking the spine. Rolling back up. Building yourself up into a tall human once again. Lengthening up through the crown of your head. Take the arms out to the side. Reach for the sky. Connect the fingertips. And breathing out. Breathing in one more time. Connect your fingertips. Look to the ceiling. Lengthen through your spine. And breathing out. There we go. And happy midweek, folks. Hope that gets us to Friday, hey?